which includes the Certified Learning and Development Manager by Carlton Advanced Management Institute, USA, and the Certified Psychometric Assessments Professional by Carlton Advanced Management Institute, USA. She is also certified on Thomas assessments, and she has certifications from SHL Talent Management Corporate Executive Board, UK. And she is also a train the trainer certified assessment on assessment centers by Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages Limited. So madam, we are privileged to have you here for this session today. And before I hand over to you, I request all the participants to keep their mics in mute unless the faculty prompts you to change. I also wish to remind you that you need to attend the program from the beginning to end and be active, interactive in the sessions, and also submit the pre-assessment and the post-assessment surveys and the feedback survey so that your attendance will be updated in the database. So I wish you all very happy learning today, and I request Ria madam to take over and take the program forward. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Diana. That was wonderful, a lovely introduction. And it's as usual, it's always very interesting to be a part of these HPCL sessions. I see a lot of participation already, so I have a feeling we are all very charged up. I do hear some background noise. Ashok, if you would like to mute yourself, that would be great. Yeah, unless you want to share something. Fine. Thank you so much. Thank you. Appreciate that. So like Diana just mentioned, this session today is called Attitude for Altitude. Here, we are not only going to just talk about different concepts, but we are going to come out with a blueprint, which means a personalized blueprint. So what I would request you to do is please take a minute and grab a pen and a notepad right away. Get some water if you want to, but let's really get down to it in the form of a workshop, right? So let's get some pen paper handy. In the meanwhile, some people have taken the pre-assessment test. Whoever hasn't, I would really request you to click on this link that my colleague has shared right here. It will take about 5 minutes, not more than that. And I would really request you to take this. Tell us once you're done. I see about 5-6 people who have mentioned they have completed, waiting for the others. So once you're done, there are about 128 participants. Welcome everybody. And please write it down. Let us know that you have taken the test. Right, and there is also a participant handout that we have shared, and please go ahead and download that as well. If everybody hasn't received it, we are going to share it one more time. Great, waiting for the others to write a done before we move on. So in the meanwhile, what I'd like you to do is, for the rest of the people who have completed the test, let's go ahead and tell us one interesting fact about the place that you're logging in from. So wherever you stay, wherever you're logging in from, yeah, maybe the location, it could be a locality, it could be just your home. So something interesting about the place that you're logging from. Sure, so my colleague is just going to send the handout one more time. We will share it one more time. The rest of you, waiting for you. Right, so interesting fact. We want to know what is that one interesting fact that we don't know about the place that you're logging in from. Yeah, you're telling us the Mumbai and Kolkata. Yeah, okay. So Baba says all are busy for nothing. But which location? Where are people busy for nothing? We don't know that. So tell us that location and also tell us that one interesting thing. Okay, Rajiv says Delhi is mixed culture, which you find interesting. Okay, great. Okay, Mumbai, all right. So everybody's busy doing nothing. Okay, great. Right. So Prachi, do tell us that, what is that interesting fact about Mumbai? All right. Lush green plants in the room. Okay. Very interesting. Great. That's a good idea. I think a lot of people are bringing the garden and the nature environment over here. So great job with that. So here is the handout. Please go ahead and download that. Fresh air. Okay. That is in Sangrur in Punjab. Huge crop. Right. Okay, that's nice. And there's a lot which is going on with the farmers and everything. So I really hope that, things are fine there and things are in control. Great, great. We find a few more yeses. Done. Nice beach and sunset in Bangalore. Lively city in Mumbai. Great. Fresh vegetable where? Which location? Do tell us the location as well. Right, interesting to see that. Great. So I'm from Gurgaon. A lot of smog over here. So a lot of air is not very breathable, even though we are inside. But yeah, it's a good idea. I'll take a tip from I think somebody who mentioned about the fresh plants in the room. Interesting to see that. Great. Surrounded by sea on either sides. Beautiful weather today. Great. Land of coal. Coal in June. Which is coal in June? Whom? Okay. That was very interesting to see. Okay. Industrial zone full of challenges. Mumbai is the city of dreams. Right. Sunny day, good climate, festivities in the evening. Okay, that's nice. Tell us, where is this festivities? Otherwise, we would have to track which area you mentioned first and then come back to this. So write it together. That will help us understand. Keeps you busy and occupied. Okay, wonderful. Cultural amalgamations of various religions in Lucknow. Great. All right, great. High air quality index. Mehul, we don't know which area you're talking about. Mumbai never sleeps. Okay, very interesting. Good to hear that. Thank you, everybody, for sharing which locations you're from. Wonderful to hear that. Great. Now we're going to move on, and I'll quickly check with you on today's session. So it's called Attitude for Altitude, Building a Growth Mindset. You know, a couple of other things like the blueprint for success that you think of. So if I were to ask you, what can you expect, or what are your expectations? What do you want to learn at the end of this 1.5 hours? We'll wait for a minute for the answers. We're here till 12:30. All right. Rajiv says, how to change thought process. All right. Great. Yes, we will help you with that. But make sure we need commitment as well. So we need a pen, paper. We need your commitment, your thoughts, and complete focus, complete attention over here. So how to change thought process, waiting for the others. Attitude in the right direction. All right. Sure. So we are going to define that, because right direction can be very vast for people to understand. So let's say in the direction which you wanted to go, right? So we are going to curate an attitude which helps you in the direction that you want to go. Okay, positive thinking. Something new. Okay, that's great, Gautam. Thank you for being honest. There'll be lots of new things here, hopefully. How to change our fixed mindset. Yes, Jaya, absolutely. Positive thinking in every situation. Yes, great, great. Wonderful. Right. So now that we understand a little bit about what everybody is expecting from this session, how to update yourselves, let's move on to what are the session objectives. So number one, we are going to examine mind conditioning and self-limiting beliefs. We are going to explore how to approach situations with a growth mindset, discuss how to move from a react to a response mode in difficult situations, and build a blueprint for success, which is what we had talked about. Right, so these are the expectations, the objectives, and Anupam also says how to not do wrong things, remove negativity which loses your attitude, how to remove neuroplasticity, okay, how to avoid being judgmental. All right, yes, absolutely, we are going to help you with a little bit of everything today, hopefully. And so now the first thing that we want to do is, at this point of time, I want you to write down currently the way that you answered questions, some of the thoughts that we had. So, two words or two phrases that describe your state of mind today. How are you feeling? What is the state of mind that you are in? So, two words or phrases that describe your state of mind today. All right, all open, happy, and energetic. Wonderful. I'm also feeling energetic and motivated. All right, happy, open mind, happy and anxious. Yes, we all kind of go through these small things every day. But by now, I think we've kind of got the hang of what the lockdown is doing to us. Some of us have found our own ways in which we are managing it. But for the others who haven't, here is something. Today's session should be something that will help ease some of the anxiety today. Calm, composed, fresh and energetic, cool and open for new ideas. Great, wonderful. Looking forward and thankful as well. Perfect. All right, now here is something which is more important for you right now. Now that we've got talking, we've got some energy flowing. Let's now identify two professional goals that you want to achieve by 31st March 2021. Two professional goals that you want to achieve by 31st March next year. You can write it down on a piece of paper so that you have it. However, you can also write it on chat, and then maybe you can copy it there while we are talking so that it's there in both the places. So do share with us and keep a note for yourselves. What are 2 professional goals that you want to achieve by 31st March 2021? I'm going to write down mine as well. Interesting. So 110 crore profit for the region. All right. Sure. Okay, 52 hours of training completion, expenditure target, and close out target. All-time high thrupt. I don't know, understand the word. Okay, I've said that I want to complete my coach certification with 100 hours. And Narayan says consistency in my performance. Sovik says to motivate subordinates for better productivity. Ashwin says positive market share in petrol and digital conversion of 35%. Right, high vendor and high customer satisfaction. Right. Now, while some of you have put in some measurables in there, but some of it could be not without one, which means, for example, something like be more productive. If that is the goal, then we don't know what that means. So, in order for you to kind of make the goal very specific, we must put down some measurables to it so that you can actually check the progress whether you have achieved this or not. So let's put some measurables to it. So what does productivity high mean? What does increased performance mean? Uninterrupted operation unit to max output. Okay, do you want to define the max output? Achieve all goal as set for the year. 5,000 crore profit. Okay, wonderful. Great, great. All right. Perfect. And we're going to try to help you with that. And I would encourage you to take one goal, professional goal, which is related to a skill as well. So, not just a business target that you have to achieve, but we'd like you to take one goal, which is a skill that you want to improve, some sort of ability that you want to have. We would really encourage you to have that. Mehul says 5 crore in my bank account. Okay, good. I would also like that, but for me, it will be a wish. It will not really be a goal. A goal and a wish would be different. A wish is something that I really want and I'm thinking about it, dreaming about it, but unless I take that kind of action proportionate to the 5 crores in my bank account, it will be difficult. However, Mehul, I'm guessing that you are that person who is really kind of motivated and he will manage this 5 crore in your account, right? Mehul, feel free to unmute yourself and share with us. In the meanwhile, Kishan says, learn new features of Excel. Perfect, right. So tell us what those features are also. You might want to say, learn to analyze data through Excel, or learn the basics of VBA or some other skill, right? That just to make it very specific. Perfect. And is there something also which is stopping you from reaching these goals? What do you think? Now let's focus on the goals and what could be some things which are stopping you from reaching these goals. So if I want 5 crores in my bank account, then what is stopping me? What are some of the challenges which I might face? Let's identify those. Positivity in team for better understanding. How do we kind of encourage positivity in the team? That can be a challenge, yes. So a lot of times, when we are individual contributors, it's easy to manage our own selves. But the moment it comes to managing a team and managing people around you, it is not that easy and it requires understanding different people, different mindsets, different techniques, a lot of unlearning that the things that you are conditioned to doing, you might have to let that go because the team does not want it or it is not working for the team. So then you might as well want to change that, right? Thank you, Sudhendra. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Melantrita says pandemic and proper planning is not happening because of which he's unable to achieve the goal right now or could be a challenge. Arvind says changes in priority because of realignment of the management's targets. Yes, so sometimes, because the world around us is so dynamic. Individually, we face a challenge to change. Now, imagine an organization with 5,000 people. If that has to change, imagine the kind of complexity that it's going to run into. So, we understand that the management may either take decisions very slow or they might take very dynamic decisions and expect people to match up to it. Yeah, so that can be a challenge, right? And Anupam says professional skill is to learn foreign trade skills for petroleum products worth 300 crores. Okay, great, great. What could be the challenge there? What could be one thing that is stopping you from doing this goal, stopping you from taking care of this goal? So we have about, like, I would say 20 people who are active, would really request the rest of the people. Sometimes, yes, we do want to take a back seat and kind of just observe everybody around us, but do contribute. It will help you extract the best out of this program. And we're talking about your goals. There is nothing that, should kind of stop you from analyzing that. It could be as simple as I want to learn this new hobby. Maybe I want to learn guitar because it helps me unwind. And that way I can put in more creativity in my work and innovation in my work. Why not? So even something not related can actually be a way out. Right, getting through the management approvals, that can be a challenge. Right, sure, sure, great. All right, so now that we have reflected, I'm hoping for the others, you have at least reflected on the goals and you have something that you have thought about, something that you have identified as a challenge, or just reflected on it for now. And then we're going to move on and talk about it. So now let's focus. We talked about what could be some external challenges. Let's talk about what could be some internal challenges that holds us back. What are some things inside us which is holding us back from achieving that goal which you have mentioned? What is stopping you? What is holding you back? What are some of the things that you have been telling yourself? Multitasking creates stress. So Bhuvneshwari feels that, when you have to do multiple things, sometimes the bigger goals, sometimes the goals which actually will fulfill you, you kind of off track it, or they get sidelined because we are worried about the management of the day-to-day things. And that's something that we cover, very extensively in the time matrix when we talk about urgent, important. Many of you must be aware of it. So a lot of times it's the actual not urgent. It's not urgent right now, but it is important. And that is the goal which is getting sidelined because there are so many other crises which is happening, or day-to-day stresses that are happening. Every day somebody comes up with something new and the situation changes and you can't concentrate back. Our mind is not conditioned like that to go back and forth too much. So now it knows, maybe let it take a back seat. I'll focus on this first, the urgent things, take care of that, and then I will think about it once I'm less stressed. Now that never happens because there is no time when we are less stressed to work on it unless we actually take out time for that or build that time out. Right, let's look at some other ones. Fear of the unknown. We don't know what's out there, what's going to happen, what challenges could happen. Fear of failure, yes. And surprisingly, a lot of people are fearful of success as well. What happens when I reach my goal? There is nothing to look forward to. I've already achieved that. I've learned that skill. I've achieved that target. Then I don't have much to look forward to. That also is an honest fear some people have. Fear of doing something which is not perfect. So at times you don't start, right? We want the actual perfection, right? And fear of failure, fear of learning or understanding skill not at pace as required. When ethics have gone for a toss all around, still being ethical, right? Upgrade myself. Now let me just pick one, and maybe all of you can think about that. Let's just take one, which is fear of failure. Everybody has that fear of failure, right? Sometimes or the other. So my question to you is, why are we fearing failure? Why is it that fear, or where has that fear come from in our minds? Where has that fear gotten into ourselves? How did that arise, or how did we get that fear from? Anyone? It's from past experience. So we have failed in the past in some instance. Rewards do not exceed risk, right? So maybe the risk is there, but then it's not rewarding. Fear to lose. Yeah. So how is that fear to lose? Where is it coming from? Have you lost something in the past, which because of which the fear to lose is there, or is it just all in the mind? Expectations, right? Which means somewhere or the other, we probably have let some people down, or we have heard this from others around us, right? Maybe parents, maybe teachers, maybe siblings, maybe your friends, maybe your spouse, or it may just be us. We have a lot of expectations from ourselves that no matter, even if we are making progress, But because our bar is so high, no matter, even if you're moving from this level to this level, you don't see it because you expect this, right? How is that going to come? So our bars and expectations need to drop or need to be lowered down so that we can actually push ourselves forward. Lack of self confidence, yes. Beliefs are stronger than actions. All right, we'll get into that a little bit. Capability issue, yeah. And fear is our creation, absolutely. So let me talk about, let's say, capability. I'm just kind of, picking up random things from here and there. Please don't mind if it's you or somebody else. So let's say that capable. How do I define myself as capable? Let's say, and I'll tell you an honest situation. So when I was just started to work and I'd come out from my college and I'd started to work, there was a situation where people thought that I was not very good at communication. And that was true in a way. I rarely spoke to people. I was very underconfident. I did not know how to. And I was so like inside myself, like so many barriers and so many things that I told myself, this is going to happen if you talk like this, you're supposed to do it the right way. You can't crack jokes. It's a professional setting. You don't know the right words. What if people laugh at you? So many things were holding me back that I could not even share what was on my mind for a very long time. Now, gradually, I taught myself. I looked at others, I observed people, and I started to kind of realize that it's okay. It started first with just being aware of your own limitations, the voices that are holding me back, and then starting to experience and observe. You need hand holding at this stage, you need a little guidance. But I think nobody was there to give me that guidance, so I kind of started to observe and like guide my own self, that okay, this situation worked for you, maybe next time I can try this out. So gradually, very gradually, I started to really improve my communication skills, which has really brought me far in my life. So I think that's one thing that I did overcome. My question is that the capability, if at the beginning, let's say that I thought of myself as I should probably not stop talking to customers. I'm not good at this. I can't relate to people. I can't build good relationships. I'm not a host. I can't facilitate well. If I'd done that, I would never have grown if I told myself that this is your capability and you can't do more than that. So, now the first thing to realize over here is that we need to constantly realize what are these beliefs system that we have for ourselves. Now, beliefs can be good. Somebody did use that word, belief system. So, beliefs can be good, beliefs can be negative. Instead of using the word negative, I'd like to say it can be enabling and it can be disabling. So, an enabling belief is yes, you can do it, based on the experience last time. It was a bad situation, it was a bad customer interaction, but because you managed it well by building rapport with him, you did a good job. So I believe in myself. Next time I will not fear even if I have a bad talk with the customer, because I know I can manage that situation well. That's a positive belief. Now what we want to do is we want to do more of this. We want to continue this, we want to acknowledge it, we want to accept ourselves, tell ourselves what all is going on that I'm happy about, that I'm proud about, that has worked for me. And challenge is somewhere or the other, we know this, but we don't appreciate ourselves enough. We don't recognize these positive indicators, things that I've overcome, achieved enough. So what I'd like you to do now is in your notepad, just create 2 columns or have one page each, and write down 1 column for the positive beliefs, things that have worked for you. For example, just like I mentioned, if there was an experience and in that experience you realized there was something that you learned or you grew from, you increased your potential, you increased the chances, you really came out well from that interaction, write down what was that, what helped you at that point of time. For me, it was my rapport building skills. I really worked on it. I studied the book also. I kind of taught myself some principles and I literally followed the examples, right? And it worked for me. So I said, great, now I've learned this. Next time I can do it better and I don't have to fear that anymore, situation anymore. Now, a negative or a disenabling or an unenabling belief would be that no, I can't. The customer really shouted at me. And, what if the situation happens again? Now you don't try because you're telling yourselves that something is going to happen bad, because of which, again, things are going to cascade and become worse, right? However, that's not true. What if that customer maybe just got irritated once, right? What happens? nothing much is going to happen. So don't kind of put yourself into that into that box where you're thinking that something bad is going to happen. A lot of times it's just us telling ourselves that. Nobody else is telling ourselves that. In fact, if you look back, let's say 2 days later, you look back on that incident, you'll realize that it was just in my head that I made it bigger than what it was. Maybe it was not that big either. He just said that I did not like it. In my mind, I built an entire story that he doesn't like me, he doesn't like my skills, he doesn't care for me. All of these things I built up in my head. But the built up can be a negative belief once you write that down, once you recognize it. So, step number one, what are the enabling beliefs? What are the disenabling beliefs? Is what I want you to write down. I'll quickly read that out, some of the comments from here, while you guys take a little bit of time with that. Right. So fear is our creation. We don't know what to do. Fear comes from our mental condition to succeed every time, right? Anupam says, picking too much, which is not realizable as per my capabilities. Right. Lack of confidence in the eye of other. So think about those experiences in which you have done this and then kind of reflect on what has worked, what has not worked. It's important for us to write that down. Fear of losing your prized possession. That's very interesting, Mehul. Would you like to tell us a little bit? Would you like to unmute yourself? Tell us, what is this prized possession that we're talking about? And Ramaswamy says, explore. Great. Mehul, would you like to unmute yourself? Would love to hear your thoughts on this. Absolutely okay if you don't want to also. We will kind of move on from there. So what we're trying to really say over here is that the external situation is one, but how we kind of respond to that external situation makes a huge amount of difference, makes the world of a difference. And that is what defines a growth mindset. Sure, Mahil, no problem at all. If you want to kind of tell us a little bit about the prized possession, do that over here and I'll read that out. It makes a world of a difference about the way we respond to these kind of external situations and events. Now, once we recognize that one is a enabling belief, one is a disenabling belief, what we then want to do is we want to continue our enabling beliefs. We want to encourage ourselves, appreciate ourselves a lot more, trust ourselves, build confidence. We continue doing that. And on the other hand, the disenabling beliefs, it's not just on the surface, like an iceberg, right? That's just the surface that I failed last time. I did not like the way a person talked to me, which is why I don't talk to people like that. The next time I encounter people who are loud, I don't even talk to them. And that's me in some cases. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg is just 10%. 90% is below the iceberg, which is why did something happen in the past? Was it when you were really small, some incident happened? Did somebody bully you in school? Right? Did your friends compete with you? Did they go further and somebody else did not acknowledge that? So a lot of things have gone under the surface, which is 90% your mind is below the surface. Only 10%, the main highlight, which is fear of losing, fear of doing something, that's visible at the top. So it's important for us to recognize what is happening below the surface and to understand that these are just nothing but things and stories that we have told ourselves. And we can easily go ahead and change those stories for us. Yeah, we can change those stories. So let me go back in the past. Let's say that somebody got bullied in school. Now, at that time, your inner child or this person at that time, who you were at that time, did not know any better. And he felt the best way, maybe for me, is to shout back. Maybe that's the best way to manage a bully. Maybe somebody else thought I should stay away from them. I should just ignore them, stay out of those situations, right? So different people would have had different strategies of managing that. Now, when that happened, you were really small, you did not know any better, your mind was not that mature enough. However, now is the time to look back and heal those situations, change those stories right now, right? So you can tell yourself, that was me about 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I'm not that person anymore. My journey has progressed a lot more, and I have nothing to fear from those people at all. So next time I am in a conversation and somebody raises the voice or starts to give me those triggers and I feel like I'm being bullied, I need to tell myself my positive enabling beliefs. I have tried this once. Something worked. I tried negotiating with them. Maybe I tried some sort of interesting validating lines like, I completely agree with you. I realize what you're saying is absolutely right. Or I understand why you're saying this. So maybe some of these lines I used and it really made an effect. Now go back and change those stories and heal those disabling beliefs that you've had about yourself. It's just the stories that we have told ourselves, nothing else. It starts very early, not even when we are conscious, even before that, and conditioning happens at a lot of different levels, right? It's not just the mind conditioning. You can condition your emotions, you can condition your intellect, and you can condition your physical body, which means maybe in the next 3 years, your body is going to completely look different because you can. Those are stories we have told ourselves, patterns that we have been in. If you want a fitter body, if you want a different kind of lean body and things like that, maybe back pain, knee pain, everything can be cured because these are memories. Our body also has been conditioned to hold that pain, to hold those things. So go ahead and condition your body, condition your mind, the intellect, by this kind of talk that we are having right now. Time is to actually do something about it. Let you not just be this a workshop and you go back and do the same thing again. Let's go ahead and do something about this conditioning, right? So, mind conditioning and emotional conditioning. What were the emotions that I went through? What is holding me back? And I need to break out of that. I need to kind of let myself go out of that. So, yeah, so conditioning happens at 3 levels. We're going to talk more about this a little bit more. And in the meanwhile, I'll read this out. So, to learn being fearless and positive, managing time, not updating negative. All right. Zyada se zyada kya hoga, nahi hoga, we should leave trying. Didn't get that, Sandeep. Do you want to share this? Difficult to come out of your comfort zone. Absolutely. Rewrite the program. Yeah, that's true. So, comfort zone is something that we have created. Yes, Sandeep. Yes, please.
This is Sandeep. ये मैम टेस्टेड है. We should decide कि
I think your voice is
क्या
breaking a
रिजल्ट
little
होने वाला
bit.
है.
Is it me? Can everybody hear me? Yes, Sandeep.
I'm audible, ma'am. Am I audible, Sandeep here?
है कहाँ से? Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. This is a tested one. If we are deciding कि ultimate इसका क्या होने वाला है और अगर हम अपना पूरा effort उसमें लगाते हैं, ultimately results जो काफी अच्छा आता है. So we should not leave trying.
Do you think मतलब आपका मतलब ये है कि हमें try ही नहीं करना चाहिए? You're saying we should not leave trying. Okay, I think I understood it wrong. Yes, बिल्कुल सही. So I think you're right in saying that, trying से क्या होने वाला है? Even if we try and if we fail, it's not, the world is not going to break down. ऐसा बिल्कुल भी नहीं होगा. हम सोचते हैं कितनी सारी चीजें हमें पकड़ के रखनी है. बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं है. We can easily, yeah. Thank you, Sandeep, so much. That was very interesting to share that. Right, and Ashwin says involvement, organized approach, positive withdrawal from issues, lack of clarity, which is negative. Right, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I think very interesting. अब ये जो हमने reflection थोड़ा सा किया, it will require you a lot more time. So what I would suggest is, at the end of the day, today itself, please do not delay it. आज ही आपको जब भी टाइम मिलता है 1 घंटा आप निकालिए for this entire activity to reflect on it. You have the workbook also, you have your notepad notes as well. So आपको decide करना है, determine करना है, reflect करना है. ये कुछ चीजें आपको थोड़ा सा deeper analysis भी शायद करना पड़े, right? So it is not possible that we can do it right now. So आज जाके please take out 1 hour from your time and I'll tell you the other things also कि आपको उस 1 घंटे में और क्या क्या चीजें करनी है. First step is this, we really go back and look at more things. I think अगर आप सोचने लगेंगे शायद आपको 100 चीजें निकल जाएंगी. That enabling beliefs and disabling beliefs. अगर आपका enabling beliefs कम है, that means कि हम अपने आप को देख नहीं पा रहे हैं. So maybe we should look at ourselves a lot better. Yeah, maybe we should acknowledge ourselves. जिसका मतलब ये भी है कि अगर आप अपने आप को नहीं appreciate कर रहे हैं, अगर आप अपने आप में कुछ चीजें नहीं देख पा रहे हैं, that means we are not doing that in others also. बाकी लोग भी अगर हमारे लिए कुछ चीजें करते हैं, we are not able to appreciate that as well. Yeah, appreciate simple things. It doesn't have to be big things. Appreciate the fact that in the lockdown, I got to sleep a lot. जो मुझे time नहीं मिलता था पहले, मैं अभी सो पाई, and I'm feeling very happy about it. I'm feeling very refreshed. Maybe that is a good appreciation, right? Or maybe in the lockdown आपने कुछ एक नया skill सीखा, आपने कुछ एक नया cooking dish बनानी start करी. That is also an improvement. That is something to be proud of. So small चीजों पे आप अपने आप को thank कीजिए, congratulate कीजिए, gratitude दिखाइए. That will translate into your environment. You'll be thankful into other people जो लोग आपके लिए चीजें कर रहे हैं, and sometimes we feel very कोई बात नहीं, इसने let's say काम वाली आई, उसने काम कर दिया, उसका काम है, हम उसको पे कर रहे हैं. But if you look at how much effort she's using, she wakes up at like maybe 4 a.m. in the morning, and in the cold she has to go to 2-3 different places. उसके बाद उसको यहाँ पे मेरे घर आना है, फिर मेरे घर का काम वाम करना है, right? So if you just feel that gratitude inside us, it is going to translate not only into yourself but into others as well and the surroundings. So do try that out, and we're quickly going to move on. Can we get a few phrases for checking ourselves? Yeah, let's go ahead. Do you mean that हम किस तरीके से अपने आप को check कर सकते हैं when we're doing something wrong, or just to reflect करने के लिए? I think you're asking. So then the reflect करने के लिए, is that right? So let's start thinking about maybe situations. You can start with जो आपने goal बताया, and then you identified that कुछ fears हैं. So identify those fear and then start to dig down deeper into why am I feeling fear. So अगर वो fear of losing है, yeah, so if it is fear of losing, why am I feeling this fear of losing? Then start to reflect a little bit, do a why, like do the why 5 times analysis, right? So if you keep on doing that, even one incident can give you 10 different things to reflect on and talk about and think about. Hope that helps. Try that out, and do let us know if that worked out for you. Now here's a small story that I'd like to share with you. Now a lot of long time back, what happened was, earlier the aircrafts that the Indian Air Force had were different, and every now and then they would bring in something, just abhi bhi Rafale aaye, right? So these were new aircrafts. Now our pilots were not trained for these new aircrafts, but I'm talking about a situation that happened a long time back जब हमारे पास MiG आया था. So MiG आने के time पे we did not have pilots who were trained to handle a MiG. So now there is a dilemma. So here is a question, and feel free to tell me which option do you think is correct. So the Indian Air Force was contemplating who we should actually put into this kind of a role. So one is हमारे बहुत experienced pilots हैं, जो trained pilots हैं. They have been in different flying for a very long time, different locations. So should we put them and let's do a trial with them first? Or should we get new people and like coach them and train them right from scratch? And should we let them fly? So new or old is the question. So what do you think the Indian Air Force did, and what was the result? Gautam says new. Piyush says new. And Sandeep says experienced, as they are easy to train. New, old, new. So we have about 2 old, and about 7-8 people have said new. Both old pilots, about 3-4 old, few group experienced and few new, like a mix of them. Okay, interesting. Always new to learn new tricks. Okay, new, old. All right, let's have a quick discussion. So so they actually did get the old and experienced ones because they also felt they had a lot of experience and they would be able to manage it well. However, it failed, and they were not able to manage it because the speed was very high and they were not conditioned throughout their, let's say, 10 years of journey. They did not handle something as fast as the MiG. So they could not handle it. They were not conditioned to handle it. They were conditioned to manage something a lot slower, right? Could not do the job. Now, the next time, then they got the new people. They coached very fresh pilots right out of their coaching and training, and they coached them to fly the MiGs. And absolutely right, they were able to fly very great because their conditioning was totally different from the old conditioning. And you're absolutely right. Some people said here that old people are easy to train, which I would sort of disagree with because of the fact that when you're conditioned so much, you start to act a certain way. It's difficult for you to unlearn from there and then go to a new direction. However, you can train a new person to go into that direction because for him, he does not know whether A or B, both are equal. If you ask me to go to B, I will do that, right? If you train him towards that direction. One more example. Let's say two hands, right? We write with mostly, most of us, about 80% are right handed. So I also write with my right hand. So let's say we are writing with my right hand. Everybody is writing with the right hand. And now all of a sudden something happens to this hand, cut, something like that. I can't write anymore. Now what's going to happen is I have another hand. I have never used it for writing, but it is there. So is it naturally, have are we born with using our stronger hand? Let me say stronger hand, not the right hand. For whoever is left handed, think of that hand. So are we conditioned to write with either hand, or are we born with it? No, right? We are not born with it. We look at people, we see how they're going about things, and then we go ahead and try to imitate them. So we train ourselves to use our right hand, or in the either cases, maybe left hand. However, if right now I ask you to switch, अगर आप अपने stronger hand से मत लिखिए, you have to now start writing only with your weaker hand. How would that experience be for you? Would that be easy? Would that be difficult? Easy or difficult? आपको अपने weaker hand से अब type करना है, लिखना है, सब कुछ करना है काम. Difficult, right? Some people might even find it impossible, right? I've got that. We did this as an exercise in one of the sessions, and I told them that आपको 3 learnings लिखनी है, but आपको अपने सिर्फ weaker hand से ही लिखना है. Some people could not even write 2 words. It was so difficult for them to write. Some of them said, okay, let me try. I'm motivated today. Let me try. And so they said, exciting. Let's try this out. And they started writing with their left hand. Now imagine यही चीज अगर आपको day in day out करनी पड़े तो शायद वो excitement थोड़ी सी खत्म हो जाएगी for some people who were actually motivated, but they will also lose motivation if the conditions or if you've trained, आपकी जो conditioning है अगर वो उस तरीके से नहीं है, right? So it's easier to train somebody who is fresh, maybe a small child. Yes, you can train him to write with his left hand. वो सीख जाएगा. But then for somebody who has all his life written with his right hand, it's difficult. That's what is conditioning. Now it is important for us to be aware that conditioning or unconditioning and then reconditioning is difficult, but is not something which is impossible. And we must test ourselves out. हमारे comfort zone में से हमें बीच-बीच में बाहर आना चाहिए. Put yourself in negative situations. Put yourself in situations which test you, which really drive you mad. But अगर आपने अपने आप को prepare किया है, that I know मेरा response in a negative environment is that I get irritated. If you know it and knowingly you're putting yourself into a situation like that, then trust me, your doubts or that natural response or reaction will not come right at the beginning. It will come a little later. थोड़े time के बाद वो आएगा. So try that out also. Sandeep says learning, unlearning, relearning are all lifelong processes, essential for growth and survival. Absolutely. And Ashwin says, have done that when right hand was fractured in 12th. I'm sure it must have been a difficult experience. Ashwin, I see my internet is unstable. Can you hear me? I hope I'm audible. I might be going on and off. Okay, great. In case you're unable to hear me, do let me know. Just type on chat. Let me know. I'll try to adjust or go slow. Perfect. All right. Thank you. Yes. So now that we know that conditioning हमारे लिए it's not our fault. हमारी गलती नहीं है कि हम condition इस तरीके से हुए. हमारे experiences अलग थे. Maybe the society that I grew up in was very different. हमें इस तरीके से ही बात करनी पड़ती थी घर पे. Yeah. So these are things that I didn't have control over, but now that I understand that it's not me. मैंने intentionally अपने आप को ऐसा नहीं बनाया है. Whatever are those disabling beliefs, but it is something that happened as a result of unseen environment. उस time पे choice था, absolutely choice था, आप change कर सकते थे, but you didn't know any better. आपको समझ नहीं थी कि कैसे करना है change. Right now you know it, and it is a good time to revisit all of those previous instances जिसमें आपने अपने आप को बोला है that I can't do it. Maths बहुत tough है, मैं maths नहीं कर सकती. I can never learn to talk to people. I can never learn English. I can never communicate well. I can't get result oriented. All of these things have happened because of some incidents that have happened. Go back, find out what those incidents were, and try to condition yourselves towards the other direction, making it enabling. Find out the positive in that situation. At least कुछ चीजें positive हुई होंगी. find those out and start to grow in this journey. And definitely, as somebody says, it's a lifelong journey. ऐसा नहीं है कि ये overnight हो जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है कि like tomorrow onwards you're going to become a new person. But if you want to, a lot of people have done it. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर आप जैसे टोनी रॉबिन्स, अगर आपने नाम सुना है, उनके वर्कशॉप्स पे जाते हैं, दे डू 5 days of intensive conditioning, unconditioning programs. People come out of there feeling they can achieve the best of the world, and people actually become millionaires from those kind of workshops जब वो बाहर निकलते हैं, because they're so charged up. और उनको जो environment मिला है, यहाँ पे भी हमारे पास we have 126 people. So the environment supports it. People are saying, yes, we can do it. ऐसा पहले हमने किया था, अब हम कर सकते हैं. We can change things around us. So if you do it as a group together and with a lot of focus, there's nothing that you can't achieve. So we can also become, fly the MiGs as well. So maybe the old pilots, if they took learnings that why this happened and then push themselves, definitely they can also do it. Thoda time lagega, but definitely it will help as well. Yeah. So now that we understand, अगर आपको यहाँ पे क्या करना है, utilize that 1 hour of your time, right, जिसमें आपने अपने beliefs लिखे हैं, and now you start reflecting on how do I change it. So next step number 2, how do I change it? How do I go back to those situations? Start to write down, maybe in the next time, अगर मेरी इस तरीके से interaction होती है, I should not think and then write those things down कि जो मुझे नहीं सोचने हैं, जो मेरे mind में नहीं आनी चाहिए. And the more you put it down on paper, अगर आप लिखते हैं उसको, reflect करके लिख लेते हैं, हो सकता है इतने intense reflection के बाद शायद आप भूल जाए. But after, I think 1 year, 3 months, 2 months, when you revisit, it is a guidebook to you. It is a direction that you have given to yourself for your life. That मुझे कुछ चीजें नहीं करनी है, वो क्या है? कुछ चीजें जो मुझे करनी है, वो क्या है? So do this exercise very, very practically with a lot of focus, with a lot of dedication. Yeah. So consciously, it could be done. It might take time, works for everyone. We all have same nerves. Absolutely. Right. That's true. And there is a neuroscience explanation also around it, which is, how the brain functions. So हमारा जो brain का जो brain stem है, that's called the reptilian brain. So if I use my hand like this entire portion, let's say that is called the reptilian brain, which means जब हम पानी में थे, we were water creatures. If you trace the human evolution, when we were water-based reptiles, this is the brain that had developed. Our human brain is still 80% the reptile brain, which is where our fight, flight, and freeze responses come from. We still can't help ourselves. जब कोई हमें trigger करता है, हम उसी तरीके से ही बात करते हैं जैसे हम करते आए हैं. We know it's wrong, but we still do it because it's the reptile inside us which is controlling it, right? Then when we went on land, जब हम reptile से land में गए, तब हम amphibians बने, which is mammals, right? Apes बने. उस time पे हमारा एक और brain develop हुआ, which was called the emotional brain or limbic brain, right? The limbic brain, and if I put it like this, these 4 fingers, these are the emotional brain. So this brain developed like this. It's a physical brain. So that emotional limbic brain controls your emotions, which means now, इससे पहले reptiles अपने खुद के eggs खा लेते थे if they were hungry, right? There was no emotions. If I'm hungry, I eat. I don't care if I'm a parent or not, as a reptile. So कभी-कभी हम अपने बच्चों को मार देते. Then we realize क्या किया, उसका गलती हुआ उसके साथ, right? It was not helping him out, but we couldn't control it because we became the reptile at that time. Go back and think of those reflexes also. When the emotional brain kind of developed, the emotional brain tells us that this is your family. ये आपके, let's say आपके बच्चों ने आपको बहुत irritate कर दिया, right? But you still would not punch them, right? You will not do that because your emotional brain is going to stop you from doing this. That is going to say, this is your family. ये आप नहीं कर सकते हो. You need to control that impulse. It can also go ahead and push you in the wrong direction. He can say, this person is a threat to your family. How dare he say this to your child? How dare he say this? You might punch him for the family because उसने आपके clan को बोला है कुछ. That is your emotional brain. Even that is not rational. Now, rational brain कहाँ पे आता है? That's the neocortex. So neocortex is somewhere I think somewhere around here. बहुत छोटा सा part है. That's called the neocortex. And that is what makes the human beings set apart, which is only about 10% of the entire brain. So that 10% is responsible for all creations that we have done, starting from fire, from the time we discovered fire to the agricultural revolution to industrial, technological, to going on space and, you know, creating so many different kinds of things. Reading the human mind, viruses, bacteria, understanding genealogy, कितनी सारी चीजें हमने करी हैं because of the 10% brain, but we don't even use 10% complete. 10% is a ratio of the entire brain, but use हम कितना करते हैं वो उससे भी बहुत कम करते हैं, right? So the brain is evolving constantly. Who knows, maybe another 500, I wouldn't say 500, 5,000 years later, you might find another brain which has developed, which is even maybe supercharged, and all these things can be real that we are thinking about. So this is the neuroscience explanation. Don't allow, neocortex kya hai, wo strong nahi hai. It can't control your emotional and your reptilian brain. But with emotional resilience, if you make it stronger, जैसे हमने अभी किया, the exercise that we did right now, write down the negative and the positive beliefs, and then reflect on हम किस situation में trigger हो जाते हैं, किस situation में हमें क्या करना है. When we're doing this, we are strengthening our neocortex. So next time, if you feed that into your neocortex, the neocortex will have some power over not allowing the emotions to get fired up, right? So in that trigger moment, आपका emotion fire up नहीं होगा because आपके neocortex को पता है that in that situation you react like this and you have told me कि मुझे आपको control करना है. So this is a conversation that actually is happening. Very interesting. Go ahead and research more about that. I will write some words down for you to have a look at and research later as well. So it's called the amygdala hijack, right? Which means the emotional brain taking over the neocortex. That is an amygdala hijack. So in conflict situations, we still react like that primitive caveman. हमें तब भी लगता है कि वो टाइगर सामने आ रहा है, हमें उसको मारना है. Even when somebody tells us that we report send कर दो जल्दी, and we snap at this person because we are still in our mind. Our brain hasn't registered the fact that we have evolved and there's no longer that kind of a threat. Our brain is still trying to protect us. So our brain thinks ये tiger आ गया and I have to hit that tiger, and we immediately get little irritated. So it's very interesting to see what are our different kind of stories that we cook up in our brain, how much of it is we can control, how much of it we can't, and the fact that yes, there are ways in which you can manage this. Yeah, so go ahead and do this exercise. And very quickly, the blueprint for success, the steps that we need to understand now is number one, advance to a growth mindset. So now how do we advance to a growth mindset? Now that we have understood conditioning, yes, PPT is on the same slide. Are you not able to see it? Maybe it could be, sure. Yeah, for the videos, sure, maybe right now handy we don't have the videos, but yeah, definitely we'll check and see if we can find something. If you Google it, you know, amygdala hijack or neuroscience or, you know, neuroscience of the brain, it's also called R complex. I will write that as well. R complex is the reptilian brain's complex, which is responsible for our primitive impulses. That will also be very interesting. So you can just go to YouTube, Google this out. There's a lot of material very easily available. So you should be able to find it. Also, one more is called, oh, I think I wrote this to Ambrish privately. Sorry, because he had sent me a message privately. I will write that to everyone. So one is called the triune brain. And one concept is called the R complex, which is the reptilian complex. Other one is amygdala hijack. And we also, one second, hijack. And we also talked about the neocortex. Right. So these are things that you can have a look at. Right. Absolutely. Great. And let's move on. So to the blueprint for success. So how do we advance to that growth mindset? Let's talk about some things around that. Next, understanding change. Change is eternal. Then respond, don't react, as well as explore situations. So this is what we're going to talk about. Now, here is a quick exercise that we want you to do. If all of you can open, like get your mobile phones and go to this website called menti.com, and I will give you a code to enter, and I'd like to get some of your responses and see what are some of the responses that you have. So the code is 7611565. So you go to menti.com and you type this code 7611565. And I'll give you a minute and while you share your responses. The question is, what do you understand by a growth mindset? let's talk about growth mindset. What does it mean to you? So I'll give you a minute and then I'll start sharing some of the responses that we've got. All right, so we've got one response and which says being positive in all situations. All right, working towards the ultimate objective. All right, seeing the bigger picture and futuristic planning for long-term and sustainable growth. Absolutely. Accepting change. All right, yes. Growth mindset is being open to new thoughts, new India and thoughts. Okay, great. So far, we've got 5 responses, waiting for about 120 more. All right. To be on a progressive track and deal with adversity with optimistic mindset. Yes. Mindset that is progress, change, inviting, flexibility oriented. Think positively, create new idea and confidence, open to accept changes, accepting limitations and growing on your strengths, right? Exploring options, belief in your own ability and control, learn and improve success, looking at positives and for solutions in difficult situations, adapt to change, positive thinking, belief in self, positive attitude during critical situations, positive mindset to grow in an ever changing external world, and having faith in yourself. Absolutely. Growth plan should improve and change as per situations and experiences. Right. Not idle, right? And continual improvement in education, think positive, learn from others' mistakes, progress and increasing strength. Sure, maturity in handling a situation, accepting changes, out of comfort zone, accepting ourselves, right? Thinking differently, working on your weakness, polishing your strengths, right? Sure, sure. Wonderful. I think that quite summarizes a lot of things, challenges that help you grow. Absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing that. Sure, grow and make me grow. I'm going to quickly go back to our main slide over here. Right. So now the first thing that we're talking about here is that how do we go ahead and nurture a growth mindset? So number one, let's talk about a couple of situations. Let me give you an example of Abdul Kalam, right? Now, Abdul Kalam's situation was that he was from a very humble background. The entire family was from a agricultural family. Now, had he not focused or had he not had that desire to do something, to be curious, what's out there, to know more, to get deeper into things, if he was governed by his circumstances, that would have made him another farmer as well. And I'm sure he would have been a brilliant farmer. He might have come up with advanced things in that direction. However, what he chose to do was, in the situation when there was no power and he could not read his books, he would go sit under a lamp, which is at the street corner, and then he would study from his books. Why? Because nobody told him. Nobody told him that this is what you need to do in order to achieve your targets, in order to achieve your goals. But he just had this desire. So a lot of times we don't know where we are heading, but there is something inside us that is telling us which direction to take, which kind of road to go to. Yeah, but with the beliefs, if you listen to the negative beliefs or the self-limiting beliefs, they are going to always tell you there are 3-4 challenges here in this road, don't go there, make a plan, then think about how to manage it. That's all belief system, right? But if you forget them, if you don't listen to them at all, and if you just trust that inside, that fire that is there inside you, and allow that to kind of take the direction it wants to, you will see that a lot of times you will be surprised yourself as to the kind of depth that you've gone into, the flow state that you were in. I get surprised myself a lot of times. So sometimes I'm like working, and like after 4 hours, I've forgotten to have lunch, and I don't even realize what I've created, but I'm so happy with the finished product. So that is like a flow state, and a growth mindset is something that you don't need to tell yourself to do. It is something that can be nurtured. Everybody has that mindset. We are kind of conditioned not to listen to the sounds, the enabling beliefs, and look at the negative ones. So like growth mindset is something that can easily be nurtured, just like Abdul Kalam did. Just trust the goals that you have, trust those things that are driving you towards some direction. Now, the goals that you have talked to me about earlier, maybe these are organization goals. These have been handed out to you. Not sure if that is something that you want for your own life. So you might want to now reflect back. Step number 3, reflect back and check what is the real goal that I have for myself. Is my goal, the one that I've chosen, is it given to me by somebody else? Is it an organizational goal? Have I set that goal? Did it come to me naturally? Do I want my career? Do I want my life to go in some different direction? And think back and then reset your goal. So now is the time where we are going to look back and check whose goal are we actually fulfilling, whether it is even our goal or not. Now, there was this interesting case study, and I was reading that, which talked about how in society there was this couple, and they really wanted to buy this red new flashy car, right? And if you ask them the questions as to, why this car only and why not that car, and they would say because the neighbors would appreciate it. It would get a lot of interesting stares, a lot of appreciation from others. So we're not fulfilling our own goal, we're fulfilling an expectation that society has, how we look in society, how we're going to be appreciated and acknowledged. Maybe after a certain point of time, they expect me to have this kind of a flashy car. Maybe that is why I'm buying this car. So sometimes we think it is our goal, it is not even our goal. Yeah, so really kind of get to know yourselves a lot better and then realize what is it that is driving you, what is it that you're really going towards, heading towards, right? So go ahead and think about that first, and that is going to help you with your growth mindset. Now, having said that, it does not mean that even if you're fulfilling somebody else's goal, even if it's a car that you're buying because it's going to make somebody else happy, that's great. So if that's your goal, you can still nurture a growth mindset there by reconnecting, by being very honest with yourself that this is the reason why I have this goal, because I want the next promotion. Yeah, that is why I'm doing this. Because I want to make my spouse happy. Because I want to have a very good professional image in front of people. As long as you're honest and you know what is driving you, even that works for us. So what we're going to do is number 1, now look at your goal, identify what is that real goal, and detail the steps that you need to take to establish that goal, to go ahead and agree with that goal. Yeah, fulfill that goal. Understand at this stage you already know what are the negative beliefs, what are holding you back. So take that into account and then create your action steps. So in that 1 hour today, we are going to take out time, and the 4th step is write down the steps that I need to take to fulfill the goal, the new goal that I have. And the goal has to be measurable. It should not be something vague, right? Next, we stretch our comfort zone while we are setting those action steps. We check and look at it ourselves and see, is it something that I can easily achieve, or is it something that is going to push me? If you can easily achieve it, then you don't even need to set a goal for it. You're on the right track. You don't need a goal formation to make that happen. A goal should be something that pushes you out of your comfort zone so that it's exciting for you. You're looking forward to it. It gives you a high. It makes you focused. It makes you motivated. And it also releases some of your anxiety around things around you. That I'm looking at other people, other goals. The moment I start focusing on my own goals, what do I want? And I'm pushing myself, I'm nurturing my growth mindset. It forgets like anxiety, what are people going to think, society, how am I going to be perceived? All of that is taken away and stripped away. So that is stretching yourselves out of the comfort zone. And then reflect and become mindful in the situations, right? So when you are actually taking action on those steps now, do realize by now you would have known that my reptilian brain is coming into account now. I know that I'm going to get emotionally charged in this situation if I face a challenge. So now when you start reflecting on it every single day and you look at what have I been doing? Did I react the same way that I used to? Or today I did something different and I was able to control my mind. Maybe I was mindful while eating my lunch. On all of the days, I would be watching something, some series, then eating lunch, talking to somebody, then eating lunch. But maybe today I was just mindfully, very nicely looking at the ingredients that went into it, how that is going to be absorbed by the body. I was just mindful about the entire process. Even that is a practice. If you start doing it in daily one area, maybe a very easy area, eating food, I think is the best place to start. You would see that slowly you will become mindful in other actions, in other tasks as well, right? Mindfulness can also be meditating, maybe focusing on a particular direction or some goal that you have or some thoughts that you have. Just taking out 5 minutes out from your day, thinking, closing your eyes, no distractions, no music, and nothing around you, but just you and yourself, and you're like thinking about and reflecting on some of the things you did throughout the day. Now, this you have to do every day if you want to really progress, if you want to really nurture your growth mindset till the time you establish your goal, which is till 31st March. Let's take that as the target. Every single day, we are going to reflect and check the action steps, check or not, what did I do today differently towards my goal? Did I do the same thing again? Was I again achieving my target and I spoke to my boss? What happened to my other goal, the real goal that I had identified? Did I do something about that today? So reflect on those, become mindful when you are working on them. Somebody wanted to share something? I heard maybe somebody had unmuted the mic. All right, if not, we'll move on. Right, so that is step number 1, how to nurture a growth mindset. Step number 2 is understanding that change is something which is eternal and everything goes through changes, right? Like the entire planets, the earths, the physical entire dimension has changing so much. Internally also, who you were 20 years ago, you're not the same person anymore. You may have drastically changed. So, and growth is optional. Like a lot of times we feel that we are holding ourselves back by telling us that things are changing, but I'm not, and I'm going into some other slides. Yes, absolutely. So change is eternal, and I think you're talking about this one. I will talk to explain this as well. Right. So let me kind of start with the evolution again. So billions of years ago, the first amoeba in the water took shape. There was some life there. Now from there, we started to evolve. It took us about 500 billion years or so in order to become human beings, right? Now that entire change happened very gradually. So change is not something that happens overnight. Even if you do change overnight, the change does not get sustained. You may still at the next challenge you face because you have not gone through it in a very gradual manner. So the next time a challenge hits you, you might go back to the first step. So when you're changing, when you're putting a target, working towards your goal, please make sure that you're not expecting overnight results from you if you're trying to change, right? So change is something that is going to happen very gradually. It must happen gradually. It should not happen overnight. It should not be something that you change tomorrow. But do go ahead and motivate yourselves to take these steps. Otherwise, if we feel that change is gradual, I don't need to do something, then you might not even take the first step. The point here is take the steps, take action. The results that you're expecting, don't expect immediate results. That might take a little bit of while to happen. So number 1, what we can do is when we understand that there are changes that are going to happen. Now, the next time I've told myself that I'm going to focus on building my credentials in the management space. Let's say I'll go back to school, get an advanced MBA, an executive MBA or something like that. So the moment I've planned this for myself, I should first of all identify what could be some of the risks that will come my way. It could be financial, it could be I have to manage priorities, it could be the fact that I have too many targets and kind of people who are answerable to me for, and I'm also answerable to them for. So identify what could come up as risks when you're trying to achieve your goal and create a mitigation plan. So what happens the next time I run into a challenge? So create that as the next step. Now that we understand that we are going to face changes, it's not going to be the way I plan it in my head. It's not going to be the same way that it materializes. So whatever I've planned, maybe 10% of it is going to be true, but that should not make me away or take me away from my goal. I still have to achieve that. I just have to keep into account that there is going to be change. There are certain risks that are going to happen, and I need to plan to mitigate it. Now, even after you do it, you still might face unexpected changes. And that's absolutely okay as long as you have some plan B to take care of. That should at least give you some sort of, it will not make you anxious, and trust yourself to trust your growth mindset to come out with the right solution at that point of time. But we do need a plan B and a plan C if possible to achieve that goal as well. We are not going to do at the first sign of a problem that comes up, we are not going to take a step back. We need those plan B and C's. So work towards it, create what are those risks and how can I mitigate them. Now, go-to skills are something which is true throughout. Let's say I learn how to, like my go-to skill was communication skills, right? Like in that story where I was this new person who had joined the team and I did not know any better. So my go-to skill, that one time that I made that decision to keep improving, I went on autopilot after that. It was not that I was consciously choosing things to work on or things to observe. Then it became autopilot till today. Even now, I'm kind of trying to improve myself and work on my communication skills as and when I go. I'm not intentionally doing it, but that intention that I set at that time, that is pulling me through. And now, how did I set that intention at that time? So something difficult happened, something painful happened. Like I was told that I'm not very good and I could not process it. I was like, how can somebody say that I'm not very good at this? And that I took a little bit of an offense to. And I said, okay, let's look at the positives. I am in a place where there are so many people I need to speak to. So great. So I have opportunity, a lot of opportunity. Do I have the knowledge? Yes, there are some guidelines that I need to follow. Can I do something else? Yeah, there are some e-learning things that I can see, some YouTube videos that I can see. What about anything more? What if you don't get enough from them? Yes, there are mentors and there are guides. If you ask people, if you show them that you're willing to learn, people are willing to guide you also. So yes, there are mentors and guides also that I can go to. And I can honestly tell them, I have this goal, I really want to develop this, and I'm struggling with this a little bit here and there. So maybe is it okay if I come to you with some questions here and there? And people would really like that. You know, who doesn't want to feel acknowledged? So people like being acknowledged and they might even help you. And yeah, no issue about being egoistic or anything there. The more you give the other person a lot of appreciation, the more you get also. So it works both ways. So the point here being, identify what could be some timeless go-to skills for you to develop. So is it going to be that my leadership skills, if I develop today, that's going to help me throughout no matter what, even after 30 years. So the investment that I do in building some skills today are going to give me good results. Whereas there could be some skills that are very, very time bound. It could be one specific, let's say Excel analysis that I've learned, or some technology that I've learned, some new website management that I've learned. Now those skills change. You know how the IT industry has changed. Earlier, the languages were different. Now, I remember I was coaching a person. He wanted to get into, he was already a developer and he wanted to move to another organization, a bigger one. And he says the first month I prepared, let's say, ABC technical skills because I saw it on a JD and I prepared it. I learned from Udemy and things like that. And the next time the job JD had changed. Now they were DEF, the skills had changed. So I have to go back and then study something else. And as a result, I gave up because I did not know what to do. So those skills are limited time bound skills which get changed every single day. However, there are some timeless skills as well. Because of change, there are some things that will keep you sailing throughout. Identify what could be those. Some of the things could be things like, investing in your mindset. You might want to do a meditation course, which will help ease your anxiety, right? Change will bring some upheavals. Anxiety is going to be there. It's a good idea to invest in managing your emotions, in managing your well-being, mental health. That kind of thing could be eternal. So identify what are those professionally, personally, emotionally, physical skills as well, right? You might want to learn how to do yoga, and that will help you with your go-to skills to keep you fit. So identify what those are. That is this investment which will pay off in the long run. And we must identify what those 4 or 5 skills we want to develop. So you can work on physical, emotional, intellectual, as well as professional area as well. Any go-to skills. Then how do you future-proof your life is definitely by working on those go-to skills. Now here is one more task for you. So step number 5 is now we go ahead, jot down what are the go-to skills that will help me not only in this current goal, but even 20 years down the line. What could be some go-to skills? Once you do that, and then you kind of start reflecting on it again, like I said, every single day, keep a track of where you are in terms of the skills. If you feel that maybe every day is difficult, start with every a month, and then you might want to reflect on it once a week or something like that. But the pace at the beginning, it definitely has to be intensive so that our actions also reflect that. So this is how so far you can future proof your life. Let's look at where are we. So what are we doing at the end of the day? Number one, we take out that 1 hour. You can start with unwinding. So remove all your cell phones, things like that. Just keep your paper and pen because you might need that later. And unwind, disconnect from all devices. And you want silence, space around you, no music, nothing as well. And then you want to be with yourself and be mindful. So meditate for a little bit. And by meditation, I mean just deep breathing works. Deep breathing, like even if you do that for like 10 minutes, that will significantly calm down all the voices, all the chatter, all the noises, because that's the chatter and noises make us breathe very shallow. So we are not breathing deep. The moment we breathe deep, then the anxiety also kind of goes away. So it's a very good idea to do this middle of the day as well. But there are advanced skills, definitely advanced meditation practices. However, for our purpose, we just want to unwind and detach from our difficult day or busy day or however our day went to focus on this activity. So a few deep breaths, 10 minutes is perfect. If you can do it more longer, absolutely go for it. Now, step number 2 was to look at our beliefs, right? Positive and negative beliefs. Start thinking about the positive ones. If you can't go back and look at how you came to where you are, what were some of the challenges that you had to overcome, right? Start noticing them. This might not happen very easily. You will have to dig down, ask yourself questions, put yourself in different situations. How did I react in that situation? Do I see a change in my relationship with my parents, in the relationship? How I was as an individual, has that changed? That should give you some ideas of things to acknowledge. So, positive beliefs and strengthen them. Next, write down the negative beliefs, similar situations. This could come out from what makes it difficult for me to achieve my targets, and identify what could be some roadblocks there. That will give you some negative beliefs. Continue digging deeper into it to uncover some of the deep seated, emotional, embedded, below the surface situations. Some of you may find this entire going deeper a little intimidating. You might want some external help also. It's absolutely a good idea to invest in that as well. If you want somebody to help you with it might be emotional, it might be psychological. If you feel that a coach or somebody else externally professional can help you in uncovering those, it's a very good idea to do that as well. We don't want you to go deep and then not be able to come out, right? So we want you to only go so far as you can manage to come out on your own. If it gets too deep, then would suggest let's not divulge too much. Let's come back, let's acknowledge our positive beliefs, and then continue the process. Yeah. Then once you've done that, you want to look back on your goals. Next step is look back on your goals, identify whether I'm on the right track, whether it is somebody else's goal. What is my actual goal in life? Where do I really want to head in life? Professionally, is my goal really that 10,000, 5,000 target? Do I want to do more than that? Is it something else? If it is, yes, acknowledge the real reasons why. Why am I doing this? Right? Maybe I want the promotion. Maybe I want to make somebody happy, a lot of money. I want a foreign trip. Yes, you might want to identify what is the real goal that you are heading towards. Professional, you can do this for personal life as well. Maybe relationships, maybe family. Yeah, things like that. Right? And then you want to identify what could be some possible action steps. What do I need to do? Then what are the risks? How do I mitigate those risks? Next, what are some go-to skills that will help me right now, and the go-to skills which will help me in the future? What can I really invest in today so that I can reap the benefits 10 years, 20 years later? And this is how so far we've got at the end of the day that we're doing. We're taking about 1 hour doing this. You can reduce the time. Maybe next time onwards, you don't want to spend that much time, even 10-20 minutes works. That also works. Point is, we must look at this every single day and see whether or not we're able to achieve it by the timeline that we have set for ourselves. Now that we understand change, let's look at, do we actually react or respond? To understand this, let me give you a situation. So let's say that it's the end of the day, end of your work day. So let's say around 5-6 p.m. and let's say you wrap up work by 7, and around 5-6 p.m. a client calls you up and he says that the report that you have sent me, I had sent you another update on that data, actual data. So you have made the report using the previous data. So it's incorrect. You need to update it as per the new data. So somehow that data was missed and your entire team has worked on it. It's not a one-man job. You need an entire team to work on it. But the client says, you have to do it right now, right here. I want this within the next 1 hour. So how do you respond or react to that situation? What would some of your answers be? What do you do in that situation? Anupam, I'll come back to that question, maybe at the end. For now, how do we react or respond to that situation? What do we do? What are we thinking? Client being adamant, not my fault. I can always say I couldn't do it. You only sent it to me at the last minute. How do we say? Rajiv says, talk back to him and seek more time. Okay. Shikha will feel a bit agitated initially, but then will complete the work and deliver. Remember, Shikha, that it's not just you. You have to get your team also to work overtime. And the team is already, half of them have left. Half of them are still there. Right? Dinesh says, assure him that he will get the report. Okay. Assure him just to calm him down. But how do we actually manage it is another question. Asking some more time. Check first whether actual report is incorrect. Try to explain current situation. Ask for waiting till next day. If our fault, we will do it. Try doing it yourself, taking others' help over phone. Request more time. Will convince, guide, and get results. Discuss with the team and decide the best course of action. Motivate the team members to handle this. Right. So some of you have told me how will you take action on the situation, and some of you have told me about what are you going to feel. So I understand the action steps, that what are you going to do. Let's focus on how are you going to feel at that point of time. What do you feel at that point of time? Yeah. Analyze whether it's possible to complete. So you're analyzing, but what are you feeling? Analyzing out of what kind of feeling? Okay, Abhijit says you're upset. Rajiv may ask for differential financial impact, but that's a task, right? So the point is, what are you feeling right now? Surya says stressed. Sandeep will say it's part of job, it happens. He'll try to convince himself. Kamlesh says disturbed, agitated, bit agitated. Rajiv says try to deliver is again an action. Dinesh says upset. So a lot of people are going to feel upset about the situation. Fine, and I would probably also do that. Let's kind of break this down. What is going on and why do we do this? So when, like I mentioned about that tiger in the cave, right? When we were primitive and we were cavemen, that is where our survival instincts really developed. We needed that because this was an entire competition with all the different animals, and the human beings did come out on top. Why? What helped was the survival instinct, which was the fight, flight, or freeze response. So there are three things that happen in us as an emotional response that has helped us in our survival, that has really proved itself. Yeah. So we do three things whenever a stressful situation happens. We either want to fight that situation, which means I'm either going to react out of my ego, right? I will say that, no, you did not do this. I will raise my voice. I will try to respond or react to that situation. That's my fight response. I'm fighting with the person to tell him he's wrong and I'm right in a typical conflict situation. With a client, it's different because we are the ones who are serving him. So we have it conditioned that we should not enter into a conflict with them. However, let's say the same situation happened with a colleague, a different department, right? Then you might feel compelled to fight with him and negotiate that it was not my fault, you sent it late and stuff like that. Why are you sharing this information now? You should have checked this earlier, right? All of these things happen. That is our fight response. Now, the next one is flight response. Flight is when the situation is so stressful that I don't understand what to do. My mind is telling me do this, do that. don't shout right now. All of these things are clouding my mind. Somebody else is asking me for something else, and I just don't know what to do, and I take flight. I escape the situation. So what do? I go for a break. Coffee. I go and wash my face. I don't want to attack the situation right now. I mentally switch off, I go somewhere else. I start to doodle on my phone. I watch Instagram, right? A lot of people are doing this, especially more than you realize. 80% of our responses are the flight responses. Too stressful, let me just go ahead and watch a movie, right? A quick video on Instagram, on YouTube. That's an escape because we don't want to face the situation that's in front of us. And it's not even a very stressful situation. It could simply be that there is this report that I had to write. I have like 3 hours for it. Why don't I watch some videos right now? So I'll watch it for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The time stretches, it becomes 1 hour. Then we panic. Then we're like, okay, I had to work on this report. And then the actual work happens. So the escape is a very natural phenomenon that has become in all of us. Social media is proof for that, right? A lot of different things. Then is the freeze response. The freeze response is, I don't know what to do. I don't even know how to escape. I just sit there and I don't react, which means typically you would have seen people, you follow up with them and you tell them that this reports need to be delivered by this time. He agrees to it, does nothing about it. You go back, follow up with him that क्या हुआ इस report का, हुआ कि नहीं हुआ, हाँ हाँ कर देंगे, but कुछ नहीं होता, right? So freezing does not mean mentally freezing. Freezing could just be that it's a stressful situation. हाँ, okay, I know that this person will come and give me 3 follow-ups. 4th follow-up पे मुझे काम करना है. That might be his response. So he freezes till the time maybe the situation changes, the stress increases or decreases. And all of us do this every now and then, हमेशा हर situation में. However, there is a way in which we can minimize that. Like you remember the triune brain, if you really feed this information into the neocortex, it can manage your reactions. So next time we are not reacting to a situation. Reacting means out of impulse. It's a reflex reaction, right? We don't want to react, but we want to respond. Reaction happens from the R complex and the emotional brain. That's not our friend. The reptilian brain, the emotional brain, is a mammal and a reptile. It's not going to help human beings, right? We need the neocortex, which is the one which is responsible for all the human interactions, for creativity, for learning, for negotiations. That is the neocortex, and we must respond from the neocortex, not react from our emotional and the limbic brains. So Avijit says, when you have to do, then why freeze? Didn't get the question, Avijit. Do you want to share, unmute yourself?
Yeah, like you have been giving the example that they will do it after 4th reminder and all. So
Yeah.
when it is known that the job has to be done by you.
Yeah.
So what is the use of freezing? Why this response comes?
Exactly. I wish I knew, but let's think about ourselves. Let's look at ourselves first. That will give us an insight. Do you remember having ever done that? Anybody who, yeah?
That happens. Sometimes it happens when you don't know what to do.
Yes.
But
Right.
the example which you have given that they will do it at 4th reminder, it is not, I think, a freeze thing.
Sometimes they're doing it intentionally, is what you mean?
Then it is because they know, but they don't want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely
But
right.
freeze
So
is something when you don't know what is to be done at that moment.
Sure. So let's say that we really don't know what to do at that moment. And I know that if I tell him right away that I couldn't understand what is to be done, right? Then it becomes, maybe it is a question about how much I know. People will think that I don't know this very well. But maybe in the 4th time, he will come himself and he will clarify. Maybe that is what I'm expecting. These are just examples. It doesn't have to be exactly right. Like think of your own examples in which you have frozen, in which you didn't know what to do and you couldn't do it. You didn't feel like asking because there are some repercussions if you ask. You don't know how much to ask in that situation. Think about a meeting. In a meeting, you get asked a question, all of a sudden you don't know the answer and you freeze. That would be a good example of freezing. Maybe in school we did that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be freezing. Now, why we froze as primitive, if you ask me as primitive cavemen, why we froze is that the moment we freeze, the tiger thinks that either, the tiger that is coming our way or the animal, the threat that is coming our way, when we freeze, it might just think that we are dead or something like that, right? That is the intention of freezing, not knowing what to do. If I run, the animal is going to attack me. If I try to fight him, I'm definitely going to die. So what best? I can't take fight. Like I can't fight with him. I can't take flight in the situation. I just freeze. And maybe that has helped us in a couple of situations as well. Yeah, so that is why the mind sometimes does this also. But yeah, think about your own examples. Think about when you have frozen, when people freeze and why they do that. Sometimes they don't respond at all. And maybe it could be because they're frozen. But like I think Abhijit says, sometimes it could be intentional also. But I leave that up to you to analyze how it works. Right. So, absolutely right. What is deep inside of you will reflect in your respond, and you react or respond accordingly. So, what is deep inside us is this brain, right? It's the reptile brain and the emotional brain. So, our primitive responses, right? They are driven from here. It's not our fault, it's our DNA. This is how our ancestors have been. Number one, do not blame yourself for the primitive reactions and responses. That's part number one. What you must blame yourself is about why your neocortex, this is in your control. The things that we tell ourselves, the coaching that we do for ourselves, the maybe some of the guidelines, the ethics, the morals, the values, the learnings, these are things in your hand, and you definitely have a lot of control. So even with that, if you are choosing to still go and allow the primitive responses to come out in that situation, then your neocortex is not that strong. You're as good as the reptile and as the mammal at that point of time. However, we are human beings, we have come a long way from where we were, and we must continue to strengthen it, not by acknowledging it's not our fault, we are conditioned this way. It's not that we are choosing to be this bad person or this rude person or this kind of a reactive person, but it just happens. But with more awareness, you can definitely manage this. Right. Some more responses. It's a part of a personality. Absolutely. Personality is also conditioning, right? I mean, if you look back, the way we are, the way we talk, the way we think, the way we react, the way we eat is all things that we have seen in our surroundings. We have picked it up. Maybe our, let's say, in some families, they were very traditional. That is why I don't feel like opening up or talking to seniors. Even though they are wrong sometimes, I cannot tell them that you're wrong because that is the inbred conditioning. On the other hand, in some families where people are very outspoken, I might find it very easy to contradict even the CEO of the organization, right? These are conditioning. These are just things that I've seen around me. Conditioning can also be movies. At one point of time, I was very influenced by a particular style of movies that has determined what my personality is. So if you look back, nothing is original. Everything, we are a combination of the society, of impulses, of movies, of things around us. However, but if you really, the things that are really inside of us, if you start to strip away or be aware of those conditioning, why am I reacting like this? What has determined this sort of a response? The more aware you start getting, the journey is all the more interesting. I mean, it's so interesting to go inside yourself and kind of look at all of these things. Reaction is spontaneous. How to develop to respond? Absolutely right. Now, reaction is happening because in the split moment, there is a trigger, and in that split moment, you react to that trigger. Why do you react to that trigger? Because you have always been reacting to that trigger. Why have you been always reacting to this trigger that way? Is because when it happened the first time, that time you did not know better. The only way you could handle the situation was by reacting in that particular manner. Okay. Once we understand this and we take this 1 hour every day or 10-20 minutes every day, when we are looking back, the more awareness you have about why you're behaving a certain way is automatically, you don't even have to do anything. This will become autopilot now. Just awareness would really help in that situation. Let's say, do not beat yourself up. Like I said, change is very gradual. So let's say, even in the rare situation that you do react, do not beat yourself up. It is not you. But what you must do is, after that reaction is over, You need to take a step back, reflect, calm down, reflect. If you can't calm down during that day, it's too stressful. At the end of the day, you're meditating, reflect on what happened, and maybe try to analyze why that situation or why that abrupt reaction happened at that time. So in the flow, do go ahead and respond or react the way you are. But at the end of the day, you're building your go-to skill for the future. This is going to help you in the long run once you start building this. Hope that helps. I can see just a number. I don't know whose name that is, but I hope I answered your question. All right, Baba's question is thick-skinned person more responsive? Wow. So one is thick-skinned person would be a judgment. I think somebody who does not get affected too much by what is happening around him. Is he more responsive? Not always. I think it is not about how thick-skinned you are. Maybe the most sensitive person can be most responsive, right? It just means that awareness, whether it's thick-skinned, whether it's not thick-skinned, can really help. Okay, that was a difficult question though, but I hope it helped. I'm also looking at the time. We've already overshot our time. So I'm quickly going to go ahead and summarize what we talked about. So build self-awareness, view your actions every day, pause, think, and respond. So in the heat of the things, if you feel that you're going to get triggered right now, quickly take a pause and a deep breath. Or tell the other person, I'll just be right back. I need a quick break. Or I'll just grab a pen and paper. Right? While you do those activities, which is related, deep breathe and allow yourself to settle down, not get triggered by those things which trigger you generally. So pause, think, and respond. And let's go on to the last point, which is I am my solution. So to give you an example over here, okay, I'm just kind of writing that. Nothing is wrong in disagreeing, but has got its advantages, disadvantages. Progressive organizations have a policy of obligation of dissent. That is how they evolve. Yeah, so we definitely like the policies, process, our environment to support us. But if they don't, that doesn't mean that we give into it. So we don't want to be governed and conditioned by those policies. We want to build this in ourselves. So why not kind of suggest that to other people, take a step? Maybe that could be a goal that you want to take up. Sure, absolutely. So I'll come back to it. I'll just quickly go ahead, Sudhendra, and talk about point number 4, and I'll come right back to this. So just to make sure that we've covered, whoever wants to leave after that can do that. So I'm my solution. What it means is that a lot of times, and in fact, this is a case study, this is a principle in design thinking also. Now, when we sit, let me take the example of design thinking. So design thinking is a process of kind of working on a new product development, understanding the user experience, and then kind of working on it. So one of the challenges that they faced when they were working in a team is that a lot of times, let's say one user talked about a problem. Let's say we are designing, what should I take? We are designing the new mobile phone, right? Now, one challenge with current mobile phones is, let's say, battery backup. So what's happening is in the room, when people are talking or when two people are discussing the situation, they're only talking about different aspects of the problem. This is the problem. This is what is happening. The management is not doing this. This should have been taken care of long time ago. Why did not the quality team check it? Why was the new product design approved in the first place? So we spend so much of our efforts in discussing the problem, whereas the solution is what we are looking for. Discussions go by and there is no solution. So what Google does is they have come up with a technique which is called HMW, and that means how might we. So they don't even bring in the problem into the discussion. So they say, how might we manage the battery problem with the latest mobile phones? So there's no discussion or very limited discussion around the challenges, but not excessive discussion about the problem, but discussion focuses on how might we manage the situation. So it's a simple change of words that can give that direction to our brain. Sometimes what we tell ourselves gives that signal to our brain. So change your wordings when you notice yourself talking about the problem, when you are working on your goals and you're stuck with the challenges only. Just change it to how can I make sure that I still overcome despite the challenges, right? Let's say financial challenges, let's say prioritization challenges. So what should I do to make this happen? What can I do to make this work? Despite this challenge, how can I create my goal? That is being solution oriented and not problem oriented. So shift your attention towards the solution, not towards constantly talking about the problem. Rebooting your mind simply means these are creativity techniques. The moment you shift attention, you will come up with massive new ideas because the mind has shifted. Earlier, it was focused on a different part of the mind, which was complaining and finding out the problem, blaming, not my fault, whose fault is it, analyzing it. The moment you ask that question, how can I make this work? Creativity, it's a different part of the brain. Creativity, which involves innovation, maybe I need to collaborate, new ideas, that just reboots your mind with simple things that you tell yourselves. And lastly, change the can't into can, which means instead of the first response being that can't happen, it's very difficult for me to make this happen, to how can I make this happen? What are some of the steps that I need to do? Even if it takes me a lot of money and I really can't have those resources right now, you might want to reshift your goal. Either you want to change timelines to fit your goal because of the challenge that you faced, or you want to change the goal into a milestone. Let's say a step back. If you want to be the CEO, let's not keep CEO as the target because I run into a challenge. Let's keep it one step below that so that my focus is on things that I can do rather than things that are out of my control right now, or I can't see how I can become the CEO right now. So focus on the next can is what we would suggest as step number 4. So, and this is a quick puzzle for you guys to really see how this works. Now I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Let's go ahead and give me the answers. So you see 4 boxes, A, B, C, and D. Some of it has gray areas, some of it has white areas. How can we be firm for what I can't? The point is that we don't want to focus on what I can't, simply change the wordings. The language plays a big role over here. So rephrase the problem into how can we make this happen? And reiterate it every time. Let's say you're in a discussion with a manager or a leader. Constantly they're talking about this can't happen, that can't happen. You might want to remind them right on the board, maybe if there is a whiteboard. If it's a virtual setting, you might want to write it on a word pad and project it so that they visually see it, that how can we make this happen despite challenge A, B, C, D. So then we are forced to open up our creative mind. Hope that helps. It's just one small tip, but I think bigger question is for you to think of ways in which you can manage this. Okay, very quickly moving on. So question 1 is divide the white area in square A into 2 equal pieces. White area in square A, which is this part, you have to divide this into 2 equal pieces. Any thoughts on how we can do that? A diagonal cut. So I'm going to just put my mouse over here, or let me open this annotate button. So I'm just going to go ahead and allow you, if you see on the top bar, you see a portion which says annotate. Go ahead and select that. Mehul, if you want to, if you can, click the annotate button and do it. You can show me how that is done. Maybe I'll do the first one for you just to show you. So I have, okay, somebody is doing it. Rajshekar is doing it. And I can't see the, okay, perfect. Yes, absolutely right. So that is A and it is equal. You're absolutely right. So A was easy. We have done that. Next, let's move on to point number B. Okay, I need to close the annotate, clear all drawings, and then close this to move next. Right, so the next one is divide the white area in square B into 3 equal pieces. White area into square B of square B into 3 equal pieces. All right, so this time what we did was we divided it like this, and that is how we get 3 equal spaces. All right, that was question number 2, and that is perfect. You're absolutely right in getting the right answer. Now, next one. Next is divide the white area in square C into 4 equal pieces. White area in square C into 4 equal pieces. Okay, so whoever did that, if you notice, this portion is smaller, this portion is small, these 2 portions are big. So that's not equal. That is incorrect. Not correct? Anybody else? Thank you. Yeah, do erase it. Whoever is drawing it, do erase your drawings as well. All right, so let's look at this one. Okay, can we clear all drawings and then get it? So if you do it this way over here, then how is it 4 equal pieces? You can unmute yourself, whoever has done this one, the brown one. Unmute yourself and tell me how is it 4 equal pieces?
Yeah, I'm Sridhar.
Mhm.
I'm Sridhar.
Yes.
So the vertical line of the gray,
Yeah.
you take the half portion.
Yeah.
From there you go left to the half. Again you come down one full length of this gray. That is here, this one, and
Yeah.
again one and this one.
So don't you think that this portion here is smaller and this
And
entire
then
portion
you
is bigger?
connect this.
Okay, so can you erase it and draw it neatly so that we all can see?
Yeah.
So that's 3. That becomes 3. 1, 2,
Yeah,
3.
this,
And we want to divide the white area into 4 equal. This is a triangle. This is a square. That does not fit right. How is it equal? Ashok says L shape with shade portion. Difficult to understand that. You'll have to draw it and show it to us. Okay, in this case, 1, 2, 3, but these are all different sizes. Okay, let me do this. I will just clear the drawings so that we can look at the new ones. Okay, let's do it again. No answers? Well tried though. I think that was a good try. The fact that you were thinking different, that's good. L shape. Now the L shape, so 1, 2, 3, 4, but then this shape is different, this shape is different. So no, that does not work. Not equal. Okay, so since we don't have time, I'll have to show you the answer. Okay, let me clear our drawings and move. Right, and the right answer is this. So Sridhar, you were sort of right. You were thinking in the right direction.
yeah, this thing you have to connect. Yeah, right.
Yes, yes. So this is how you create the different boxes. So this is now equal. This is now equal. All of these have one part cut out and then L shape everywhere, right? So that is how we get the 4 equal parts. And now for the last one, divide the area in D, column D, the white area in D into 7 equal parts. White area in column D into 7 equal parts. All right,
2,
great.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Perfect. All right, and that was the right answer. So I'm so happy to see that everybody did get it right. And trust me, we don't. We usually don't get it right. And a lot of people try to make the boxes again. Now, here what happened is, I'm very surprised to see that either all of you became extremely creative and you did open up your mind. So it's great to see that your creative mind is active, your logical mind, you're not thinking through that. So congratulations, whoever got this right. I think this is a kid drawing. I'm going to stop the annotate button. Whoever got this right, you have got your creative mind working, which works on the solution part, not thinking about the problem so much. Yes, that's right. Absolutely correct. All right, and we don't have time for this, so we're going to quickly do a recap. So advance to a growth mindset. Step number 2 is change is eternal. Remember that and create your action plans accordingly. Respond, don't react, and explore solutions. So this is the acres of success that we are wishing you. Make sure at the end of the day, when you're taking that 1 hour out, do also check today whether you were focusing on problems or whether you came out with creative solutions as with regards to your goal. Yeah, so hopefully this was a short session. I'm sure the more time we spend, the more things that we can come out with and problems and discussions can happen. Absolutely, going back to slide number 3. In the meanwhile, yeah, for everybody, I think do get inspired by what we have talked about over here. Would really want you to kind of try it out and get inspired. Tell us how it has gone. Would love to hear your thoughts and feedback. So here is slide number 3 for Sudhender. Please have a look at that. For the rest of you, we're going to share the post-assessment link. Please go ahead and fill that. My colleague is going to share it. And you can stay in touch with us through our social media handles and links. I'll just display it. I'll check with Sudhender in case he has any questions. So do you have a question, Sudhender, for this? Okay, done. Great, perfect. So time for any additional questions, Any thoughts, any queries, any last comments? Do you think it's doable? Is it possible? Do you have any other suggestions for us? Please go ahead and share that. Sometimes more than rational, emotional brain is very important, especially in dealing with people. Absolutely. So it's emotions is actually the way you use it. So if you use it, or if you let your emotions use you, then it's not good. If you are using your emotions, then it's absolutely perfect. So point being, we need to know and be aware of the emotions.
Human reaction to a difficult situation.
Sorry, couldn't hear that. I heard somebody say something, but couldn't hear that. Sorry. All right. Right. What is the meaning of that yellow logo? Where is the yellow logo? So that's Shraddha HRD enabling possibilities. That's just the an interesting way and a creative way of writing the S, and it has the reptilian brain also sort of looks like it. But I'll come back to you with the right answer. Ashna, do you know the answer? What that S? Why do we have that kind of reptilian S over there in the logo? Just a funny design or something else? We'll come back. I'll check this with the head of Shraddha HRD and I'll let you know. I should know that though. Okay, thank you. Interesting question. Anything else? Yes, so we don't have a feedback form yet, right? There is just the post-assessment link and would really like you to fill that post-assessment.
We do have a feedback link. I'm
Okay.
sharing it. I just thought
Sure.
let's go one at a time. So
Okay,
we
sure.
will share it in a minute.
Right. Now, despite doing all, still certain setbacks are found, and that's what we leave it to the Naseeb. Yeah, but Naseeb will make you feel powerless. If you feel that too many things are there out of our control, then it will make you feel powerless. But try to tell yourself, look at the one, at least one or two positives within that situation that has happened. That will empower you. So, chalo, 50% of it was bad, but at least 2-3 things happened in this situation which was good, and let's focus on that. Maybe I dealt it very nicely, maybe my emotions were under control. That is something to be proud of. That is not a defeat, that is actually a positive. It is leading you forward, so that will help. All right, perfect. So people have taken the post test. We also have the feedback form. Please go ahead and share your feedback with us. Do let us know how you like the program, any suggestions for us. And these are the social media handles. So our website, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Please stay in touch with us. My name is Riya Datta again. Do let me know also how your entire journey was today. Feedback not opening. Okay, one query. Try opening with a different device if it's possible. We have one more feedback, which is the poll that is on your screen. There are 2 feedback that you have to give. Request you to go ahead and take that. Perfect. How many of you are now motivated to take this 1 hour today and really work on it? Can we do that? Can we make that commitment? Let's take 1 hour today, either right now would be great if you can do it right away. If not, at the end of the day, when you're unwinding, there's no other pressure, no other stresses, then do that. Somebody is using Annotate, guys. Thank you so much for sharing that. Great, perfect. No problem, Shikha. What you could do is have a look at maybe the handout, or you can, get in touch with some of your colleagues. I'm sure they would love to explain that to you again. Great. Yes, summarizing, I'll quickly go ahead and summarize it one more time. So you need to take out 1 hour from your day. And number 1, you identify what is your goal. Great. Fully charged up for 1 hour of the time. Great. So identify what is the goal first. What do you want to work on? What do you want to achieve by 31st March? Once you do that, then you have to write down what could be some beliefs that I have which is not helping me. It's not enabling me to achieve my goals. Let's start with that, right? So not enabling me to achieve my goals. At the same time, think about situations. You have somebody, I can hear somebody's voice, please. Can we please put on mute? I'll just, thank you. Right. So a name of a book on rapport building. Rapport building, a book probably wouldn't help. There are some authors that definitely help. So I will think of some right away. But for Shikha, I'll quickly go ahead and summarize it. So negative beliefs, positive beliefs, enabling, disabling beliefs. Think about them, go back a little deeper and imagine or think about situations, why you feel and that negative self-talk. If you're telling yourself you can't do it because you're a woman, you can't do it because you are young, other people are seniors in the team, why has that first been triggered? What has led you to this kind of conclusion? Is it society? Is it people around you? Then it's not true. So I want you to do this exercise to identify where is that negative belief stemming from. And the next step is giving yourself some directions on what you should be doing to manage that negative belief the next time it occurs. That means you're telling this information, you're feeding into your neocortex. So next time your reaction, you won't get triggered because of that. You won't tell yourself you can't do it because there is a plan that you have created. Yeah. So go ahead and write that down. Then the next step would be to analyze again whether my goal is actually something that I want to achieve. Is there something else that I want to do with my life? And what could be a real goal here? Once you do your real goal and it is not determined by society, by the organization, by my manager, by my children, by my spouse, parents, what is it that I really want to do for myself, professionally, personally? Make that as your goal and then apply the next steps, which is the growth mindset, right? Work with the growth mindset. So think about all of the things, in the growth mindset that we talked about, 10 minutes during the day. Then you want to create some action steps. You want to create a mitigation plan. You want to reflect whether you react or respond. And lastly, in case you get stuck on thinking about the challenge, you must divert your attention towards the solutions to break through to the next step so that your goal keeps on getting progressed. Hope that summarized it well, Shikha. Hope that was explainable, understandable. All right, great. That sounds good. Thank you very much for sharing the feedback. Love the feedback over here. Great. All right. Yes, guys, I had a wonderful time over here. It was always lovely to be here. And I'm glad that we had such a good participation, so many questions that you had over here for me. And that makes the session more, intense and customizable. So I really wish you all the very best and acres of success to everybody. Thank you so much for your time. I had a great time and see you in another session. Take care. Thank you, everybody.